Welcome back to EQ in Action, Coaching the Whole Athlete. I'm your host, Ty Coleman, and today we're talking about one of the most powerful tools in your coaching toolbox, empathy. Empathy isn't just being nice, it's about understanding where your athletes are coming from, emotionally and mentally, and using understanding to build trust and making a connection. When athletes trust you, they perform better, take feedback more openly, and are more likely to stay committed. What is empathy? Empathy is your ability to feel with someone, not just for them. In coaching, it means listening without judgment, noticing nonverbal cues, creating a space where athletes feel safe to be themselves. In episode 2 of EQ in Action, Coaching the Whole Athlete, the title of this episode is called Building Trust Through Empathy. And no one better than Coach Raymond Johnson Jr. has transformed E. Smith High School track and field cross country program into one of North Carolina's premier athletic programs. Over the past 5 years, his leadership has prepared the Golden Bulls to historic achievements, capturing multiple conference titles, producing state champions, breaking more than 25 school records, and guiding the school's first ever girls cross country team state championship. His athletes have excelled in the classroom as well, earning numerous academic honors and securing 14 collegiate scholarships. A multi-time winner of Coach of the Year Award, USATF Level 2 certified coach in youth specializations, throws and jumps, Johnson combines elite technical expertise with a culture built on discipline, accountability, and servant leadership. His success extends to the middle school level, where he won 4 county titles in 3 years. Wow. Demonstrating a proven ability to develop athletes at every single level. Across the 8 years at E. Smith, he has built not just a winning program, but a lasting legacy. Joining us today for our second episode of EQ in Action, Coaching the Whole Athlete. Great friend of mine. Good to see you. Hadn't seen you in a while. Coach Raymond Johnson Jr. He's transformed E. Smith High School track and field cross country program into one of the most successful programs in the state of North Carolina. Coach Johnson knows firsthand how empathy transforms teams. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Hey, thank you definitely for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. So let's talk empathy, Coach. How do you define empathy in your coaching or your training style?
All right, so for me, empathy is the ability to truly understand what an athlete is experiencing without losing responsibility to guide them toward growth. All right, so pretty much to me, that means seeing beyond performance times and understanding the person behind the athlete. Because every athlete comes with different situations, different backgrounds, and challenges. So with empathy, it allows me to coach the whole person. And so that's one of the essences I see, when it comes to that. Also, and it's not just about the result, but it's about that person. It helps me build trust, coach. And also, once the trust is built, athletes are more willing to push themselves and believe in the true process.
Okay. Can you share a moment when empathy helped you connect with an athlete? Give us an example of that.
Man, well, several different examples. I always like to use my kids. My daughter, she's a senior at Fayetteville State University, and then my youngest, he's a freshman where I coach at E. Smith High School. And so even when they get disappointed, they thought they get give everything they have, and they didn't hit the goal that they want. Instead of correcting them or critiquing them, I say, what's something that you can improve on, or what part of that race you see yourself better at. So I'm at that point when I ask that question, now I'm just they'll share and I just listen, acknowledging their emotions because they're gonna I could tell you plenty of stories about how they're like, oh, I didn't hit the time, the long car rides home. Sometimes I just listen, and so just letting them feel seen and heard. So when they do go, when you realize and understand that their frustration or fear, it opens other doors, for us as to continue to cope. But there's been many breakthroughs throughout this. And so sometimes it just comes from not the hard work, but just kind of understanding. I think the hard part sometimes it's kind of hard. Sometimes you always want to give them the right answer,
Right.
but you just have to feel them out and just listen.
Let them learn on their own. That's right.
Yeah.
How do you teach empathy to your coaching staff or your team leaders? Because it's important for the program as a whole to practice this.
Well, teaching comes from modeling. And so I feel you have to model that action. The goal is if I'm modeling respect towards the team, then athletes see me, they'll start showing respect towards each other. Way how they treat each other, even during the tough moments. And so even when they see me uplifting another teammate because they, just didn't have that day, they start doing the same thing. And one of those things is kind of sort of on the same track as the question, but I had to set up a new framework of how teaching leadership with the athletes, being prior military and everything, and also in the school system. I admire how the Student Government Association have their branches of leadership. Each class level have their presidents and vice presidents and representatives. And so on the track team, I have like a freshman captain, male, female, sophomore captain, male, female, junior, and senior. And then I have an overall captain on male and female. And so what that does allows me,
Yes.
they're teaching over time. And so when they become that senior, the upperclassmen, everybody understand who's the leader in that locker room or out there in the huddle or out there on the track when they're doing the stretches and stuff. I believe in one voice, one sound. And so if everybody in the line doing stretches and everybody talking, nothing's getting done. They're not doing nothing right, but they focus and they say, all right, let's do this stretch here. One voice, one sound. And they doing it in a way where it's a family culture. The respect is already earned just off of that alone. And so that's why I feel that, um, going into like servant leadership, I'm teaching that as well because they understand how to serve others before themselves. I still teach them how to take care of themselves, but it's at the same token, I also want to kind of teach them about servant leadership. And it goes hand in hand in the classroom and outside the classroom.
How long were you in the service? If you don't mind me
Uh,
asking, Coach.
17 years, a couple months, a couple
Wow.
days, so it was a
Yeah,
involuntary for me. So, like I said, it was bittersweet at first, but then, I said God had, has a plan for me.
man. We appreciate your service. We really do. So,
Thank you.
okay, let's bounce off of that. Being military, what's the difference between empathy and enabling? Because it's a fine line right there, Coach.
Oh, that's true. I would say empathy is understanding, enabling more lines to excuses. So empathy says, and I wrote it down here. I says, empathy says, I see your struggle and I'm here to support you, but it still holds athletes accountable to standards and growth. Enabling removes responsibility and lowers expectations. So at the end of the day, true empathy allows athletes to feel supported while still challenging them to rise. But also, my goal is to meet athletes where they are emotionally, and that's key. And then, but never leave them there mentally or physically. So we're still building them up,
Yeah,
and modeling the empathy role as a leader.
got you, Coach. We're gonna give some real life examples. So let's walk through a few scenarios. You tell us how you handle these scenarios. So, first example: an athlete shows up late. They're withdrawn. Do you punish them or do you check in?
You said they showed up late and they
Showed up late, they're a little withdrawn. So do you punish them for showing up late and being withdrawn off to themselves, or do you check in with them?
oh, my personality, I check in with them. I check in with them. And the reason why is you just don't know what they're going through. Now, I always tell athletes like, hey, you gotta be over that fence. It was 4 o'clock, but now we have study hall, so it's 4:45. And even if they are late, I'm not gonna embarrass them. I'm gonna pull them to the side and just have that conversation. And I had the little Kevin Hart in me, but at the end of the day, I'm still um, be that leader. Just say, hey, what's going on? Let's try not to do this again, and go from there.
All right, appreciate that. So next scenario. So track and field is full of nuts. Like a track and field program is full of nuts to go out, and the competitive edge of track and field athletes is crazy. And only people who are true track and field people really understand that. So you go out, you're running against a rival school, and come down to the 4x4. Whoever win that 4x4 win the meet. Your team come up short end of the stick. And so big loss. How do you respond emotionally to your team?
You know what? That is. First, I'll have to definitely have to put myself in timeout and gather what I want to share with the athlete. Because the athlete's gonna be distraught anyway. They're gonna be like, crying and I should have did this. I should have turned it on at the 150 mark, or I should have did this. Or I should have swung my arms more. And so it goes back to the enabling part. And so I have to ensure that I'm not enabling them to just continue to make excuses. Hey, it happened. We have to press through, and we move on from there. Well, will I be hurt inside? Of course, because 4x4 is one of my favorite events and everything. But on the same token, understanding the hurt that those athletes are going through because hey, I did my best and I let coach down. And I don't want them to feel that they let me down just because we lost to our rival school. Because at the end of the day, life still goes on, and I have to teach them that, hey, have that amnesia, have that short term memory. Let it sink in, and then let's go back to the drawing board or the lab and go from there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, coach, I really appreciate you being on. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm watching from afar. Love looking at your posts. Love texting with you. I just want you to understand, I've been watching you since you took over this program, and that program has changed. The kids have changed, and I want you to keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate you.
Hey, appreciate you too, brother. Thank you so much, coach.
Every episode, we have a segment called the EQ Toolbox on here. During this segment, I will give an EQ tool to try to help coaches form better relationships with the student athletes. This week, our EQ tool is called the empathy pause. So simple, basically, before reacting to an athlete's behavior, I want to pause and I just want to ask myself, what might they be feeling right now? Simple question, but change your response, and it can also improve your relationship with that student athlete. Thanks for tuning in to episode 2 of EQ in Action. Remember, empathy is not a weakness, it's leadership. It's how we build trust, loyalty, and long term growth. Next episode, we'll explore self awareness for coaches, how knowing yourself helps you lead others. Until then, keep coaching the whole athlete.